Thanks for joining us tonight at 6. I'm Elizabeth Wattis. A Madison couple shares how Madison Fire Department's CARES team helped a man who was facing a mental health concern. Now, this comes after Common Council discussed expanding CARES services to other cities, although it could face budget cuts here in Madison. WMTV's Cameron Kelly joins us in the studio. And Cameron, the couple you spoke with says these services matter.
That's right, Elizabeth. James Wilson and Gregory Humphrey originally shared this story through social media in hopes the community would learn about CARES and why they feel this resource should stay in Madison. On a breezy, nice day, James Wilson and Gregory Humphrey were sitting on their lawn when they saw a young man walk down the block and sit on the front of their rock wall.
And I just sensed there was something quite not right going on. So I got up, I sat alongside him, and I asked, is something going on? Is there something wrong? And can I do something? And the first words out of his mouth, I need help.
That's when the couple called the non-emergency number, and MPD sent over 2 members from the CARES unit.
We don't respond lights and sirens, which can sometimes amp up the situation that the person is already in.
In the meantime, Wilson grabbed a Gatorade and some chocolate cake to keep the young man calm.
And then he gave me more information about his family and his situation, and we were able to take and relay more of that to the people that came to help.
The CARES unit goes through specialized trainings to assist people facing mental health challenges.
Coming from a place of understanding and use patience and empathy and show them compassion that we are really concerned about their welfare and their well-being and that we want the best outcome for them.
Wilson believes certain forms of help in the community should not be placed all on police officers.
Just like we shouldn't be demanding everything of school teachers and, you know, some of the other professions that we dump everything onto these days.
MFD says it's important to look out for one another.
I appreciate that there are concerned citizens out there that make that call to 911 when they see that a person might be having some sort of issue.
Humphrey fears this resource could be eliminated because of possible budget cuts.
This is one of those programs that I hope can be prioritized and that our policymakers and elected officials can say, this really, for bang for the buck, this program worked. I saw it with my own eyes.
The CARES team started about 3 years ago, and they operate throughout the entire city. Budget cuts for CARES are in the air, depending on whether the referendum on the November 5th ballot passes. Live in the studio, Cameron Kelly, WMTV 15 News.
All right, Cameron, thank you. Well, Sun Prairie is where Dane County is hoping to expand its CARES services next. The resolution was introduced just last week during a county board meeting. Madison must also approve their own agreement with Sun Prairie. Dane County Human Services says, quote, Madison will charge Sun Prairie $531 for each CARES response. Dane County will reimburse Sun Prairie for 70% of those expenses, up to a maximum of $200,000. A final vote on the resolution that will happen next month.